Hello, my name is Kiera Harris, and in this presentation, I'll be talking about the importance of building resilience in the cultural events industry, focusing specifically on outlining key recommendations which could benefit the festival industry and preparing for future issues surrounding sustainability and the environment. In order to be able to make recommendations, we must be able to identify needs, interests, and concerns of the consumer and consider local and global trends. In its most simplistic terms, resilience refers to the ability to bounce back. Herman 2011 defines resilience as the positive adaptation or the ability to maintain despite experiencing adversity. It's important for an event manager to be constantly looking at how future trends may impact and influence their industry. This can be done by investigating specific characteristics that trends have followed in the past and how the industry is responding to them, as well as any long-term impacts they may have. It's difficult to accurately predict the future of cultural events. However, we can learn from history in order to plan for the future. Staley 2010 states that scenarists need to dissect the past to identify trends and then draw conclusions from this in order to plan accordingly and react to change. There is always the possibility of unpredictable scenarios arising, and event managers need to be prepared for this. Therefore, they must think in terms of possibilities rather than definite predictions. According to Getz 2005, a festival can be defined simply as a themed public celebration, but this is a very broad definition and could be often misapplied and commercialised. The UK festival industry was estimated to be worth over £2.6 billion in 2019 due to research by Mintel, which was an increase from £2.46 billion in the previous year. In a statistics report from 2016, it shows that around 50% of festival goers were aged 30 or under. In the aforementioned Mintel report, it states that young people have the expectation that event operators should make it easy for them to behave sustainably, and that 71% of millennials attempt to limit environmental impact when attending festivals. The issue of sustainability has been around for a long time and is not a recent development. The Brundtland report states that sustainable development is development that needs to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainability is a growing trend within festivals in recent years, with companies like Eventbrite releasing guides like Sustainability 101, the guide to a greener music festival. Event managers have put a lot of effort into making festivals eco-friendlier and more sustainable in the last 10 years, with a huge focus on initiatives like the Take It, Don't Leave It campaign by Glastonbury Festival in 2019. Glastonbury Festival organisers urge attendees to do their bit by taking home any camping gear, reducing the amount of waste that goes to landfills. Live Nation have pledged to eliminate single-use plastics at events by 2021. These initiatives have been effective in changing consumer behaviour and have created a market for greener festivals, such as the Mad Hatter's Affair Festival, who have removed all single-use plastics from the entire festival location and provide tents made from recycled and recyclable cardboard for attendees. AIF 2015 reports that UK festivals equate 23,500 tonnes of waste each year. Recycling is a good place to start, but the real solution is to avoid single-use materials altogether where possible. Although much of the responsibility with regard to sustainability ultimately lies with the consumer, events managers have a moral obligation to facilitate and encourage sustainable behaviour. Travel and transport are huge contributors to climate change and an unavoidable aspect of festivals. According to the AIF in 2015, audience travel makes up to 80% of a festival's carbon footprint and is the most significant single source of carbon emissions attributable to the events industry. The report also states that 61% of audience travel is done by car and only 19% is done by train and coach. This shows less attendees are using public transport. The Green Report 2017 states that there was a large increase in event managers working to encourage and increase sustainable travel methods to their events. There's been an increase to 80% of events in 2017, promoting sustainable methods of travel to attendees from the previous year's 28%. The Energy Revolution Guide to Sustainable Travel for Festivals and Events 2017 suggests that a sustainable travel plan may include the provision of a dedicated coach service or shuttle bus from a local transport company and encouraging increased car occupancy. However, these things can only influence how attendees may choose to travel rather than dictating it for them. According to AIF 2020, consumers are more likely and more encouraged to use public transport methods when they are included with incentives. Boomtown in 2019 offered a public transport saver ticket to attendees which were cheaper than a standard festival ticket and allowed free early access to those purchasing coach tickets. This was very successful as it had 20% of the audience arriving via coach services. A Greener Festival 2012 carried out an investigation about incentives to reducing travel impacts and concluded that 65% of attendees would be happy to travel to their chosen festival via public transport if it was provided as part of the ticket price. Understanding the needs of the consumer is key when deciding how to make sustainable travel options accessible for everyone. Veganism and vegetarianism are two rising trends all over the globe. In 2020, every one of the top UK supermarkets had their own vegan range of products, and it is estimated that the number of vegans in the UK quadrupled between 2014 and 2019, according to the Vegan Society. The Meatless Farm state that if every house in the UK were to eat one plant-based meal per week, then greenhouse gases would be cut by 50 million tonnes. In the AIF's The Show Must Go On report, it states that 1 in 3 residents in the UK responded to their climate action survey in 2019, stating that they had reduced their overall meat consumption. The demand is there for more vegan and plant-based options to be offered at cultural events, and also fully vegan events like the Great Yorkshire Vegan Festival in Leeds. It's important that consumers are aware of the impact their food choices have on the environment, and a great way for them to be aware of this is to show them. Roskilde Festival in Denmark worked with the company Carbon Cloud and used their climate impact calculator Carbonate to determine how large the carbon footprint is in all of the foods they were offering at the festival. This allows the consumer to make smart climate choices on their own. There are guidelines that event managers can follow when planning their festivals to be more sustainable in terms of food consumption. AIF 2020 states the guidelines can help event organisers better understand their supply chain, the needs of their traders, and the impacts of specific food areas. An example of a guideline would be to locally and seasonably source as much food as possible. Removing meat and dairy from festivals might not be the appropriate response to this issue, as it is important for the attendee to have choice, as it may negatively impact their festival experience. However, it is important to provide them with the facts on what they choose to consume. I feel like these recommendations on waste reduction of single-use plastics, transport and travel, and food consumption will help to improve how the event sector reacts to the issue of sustainability in order to make it more resilient in the future.